أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you all know, for the past 2 years, we as a community have been trying to boycott the companies that support Israel with mixed success. Today, I want to briefly look at why we are boycotting, touching on the history of Palestine. Palestine has been a Muslim country for over 1,000 years. In that period, we have seen numerous invasions from the West to steal the land, the Crusades. Finally, they took Palestine with most of the Middle East at the end of the First World War with the defeat of the Ottoman state. The imperialist powers, Britain, France, they carved our land into small pieces and divided between them. Lebanon and Syria the French took, Egypt and Palestine the British took. And so, British had control over Palestine at the end of the First World War. Now, 20 years before this, a movement called Zionism had started among the Jews. Basically, Zionism believed that Jews cannot live with non-Jews. They demanded a land of their own. They considered many countries like Argentina, Cyprus, Uganda for their exclusive Jewish state. But they realized that in order to get support of the Jewish people, it would have to be Palestine with its biblical background. But even then, most of the Jews at the time rejected the idea. The religious Jews condemned Zionism as a blasphemy against Judaism. And in fact, on November the 10th, 1975, the world condemned Zionism at the United Nations General Assembly as a form of racism and racial discrimination. It is only with the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe that Zionism gathered more support among the Jews. The Zionists realized that their plot to steal Palestine would require the support from the imperialist powers of the day. They had predicted the British takeover of Palestine before the end of the First World War. So they held secret meetings with the British government, promising to be their watchdog in the Middle East, securing British interests like the Suez Canal in return for Britain's support in the creation of a Jewish state in Palestine. A quotation from the British Prime Minister, Sir Campbell Bannerman, reveals why Britain found it imperative to support the creation of a Zionist state in the heartland of Islam. This is very important. In one quotation, it tells us why they created Israel. This is a quotation from the British Prime Minister, Sir Campbell Bannerman, over 40 years before the creation of Israel. Here, he is talking about Muslims, not Palestinians. And I quote, "There are people who control spacious territories, teeming with manifest and hidden resources. They dominate the intersections of world routes. Their lands were the cradle of human civilizations and religions. These people have one faith, one language, one history, and the same aspirations. No natural barriers can isolate these people from one another. If perchance this nation were to be unified into one state, it would then take the fate of the world into its hands and would separate Europe from the rest of the world. Taking this consideration seriously, a foreign body should be planted in the heart of this nation to prevent the convergence of its wings in such a way that it could exhaust its powers in never-ending wars. It could also serve as a springboard for the West to gain its coveted objects. This resulted in the Balfour Declaration in 1917, in which Britain promised the Zionists a national home in Palestine. We have to realize that at that time, at the end of the First World War, there were very few Jews in Palestine, just 56,000 Jews compared to 1 million Palestinians. That's less than 6% of the population in Palestine. So Lord Balfour, in a confidential letter, revealed the plot. And I quote, "In Palestine, we do not propose to even go through the formality of consulting the wishes of the present inhabitants. The four powers are committed to Zionism. The four powers being Britain, America, Russia, and France. They all conspired to create Israel.